Domination!
Hello everyone, welcome back to Monday Night Pod. My name is Eric Jacobowitz. I'm here with my tag team partner, Adam Welby.
Ayo!
I'm actually here. If you're watching us on YouTube for the first time, you're seeing us together. If you're listening to this podcast, it might sound a little bit different. We're trying to shoot it a little bit differently because we're together for the first time in months.
Oh my gosh. It's been quite some time.
Yeah, I didn't even tell you guys what this is. This is the podcast all about the Monday Night Wars, all about the battles in WWF Raw and WCW Nitro. Each and every single week, we go back in time and we re-review the episodes in order to try and determine who really should have won the Monday Night Wars. But Adam, why don't you tell everyone why they should listen to what we have to say?
Well, because as you hinted at today for our YouTube viewers, this ain't your grandpa's Monday Night Pod anymore. This is Monday Night Pod Underground that we're having. We're going to be tearing our shirts off in a couple of minutes. We're going to be turning the lights down and fighting. Whoa, that sounded like it would go in a different direction. But
if we were monetized, we might get demonetized. For
yeah,
that, but we don't
for what's going to go on down on.
We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, for what's going to go down on Monday Night Pod Underground.
Here's my... Yeah, those reasons are true. We both used to work in WWE. We both used to work in WWE Tape Library.
That's the real reason.
Yeah, the jobs were to watch all of wrestling, which we did then and we continue to do now. But yes, just quickly, we don't normally like to do too much of the current stuff, but I don't necessarily have a problem with the concept of Raw Underground.
Okay.
I have a problem that they just once again treated us like we're idiots. If there was a cool way to bring this up and to connect the dots on why this is happening, I'd be like, okay, but it wasn't. It was fucking idiots. Who cares? Shane's just there. Why? Who gives a shit? It's just like, if there's any explanation to why this is happening, how it's happening, why, did he... if the whole what's the dumb group called now that's running
Retribution.
If Retribution was behind this and they pulled the jacks and twisted wires around to get this secret feed of Shane's Underground, that would make sense. That would be 30 seconds of work. Instead, it was fuck it, which is the most frustrating thing as a fan, because if you want to do something a little different, sure. Do I think it's generally stupid? Yeah, but I think there are ways to get. I actually thought that. When what's MVP's group now called? They have a new name.
Oh,
the Hurt Business.
Shit, that's right.
If the Hurt Business, when they showed up at the end and they just destroyed everything, I was like, oh, it would have been really interesting take for the whole thing to be a fake setup towards that. They build this whole Raw Underground thing just to have this dominant group show up and throw it in, rip everything apart and be like, yeah, Raw Underground is fucking stupid. This thing's really about us. And I'm like, oh, the whole thing is a red herring for the power that is the Hurt Business. But it doesn't seem like that. It just seems like they just showed up for no fucking reason and they killed everyone for no reason, and it probably won't be brought up again.
Yeah, because fuck it, as you said. Yeah, we could have tied it back to what was in Shane's box or whatever. Remember from a couple of years ago?
The lockbox. That's an excellent point.
Maybe even a week or two of hey, Shane McMahon is going to do something.
Yeah.
Period. Mm-hmm. But no, it's just thrown against the wall. So whatever, man. It was a wild week. This is a wild week in wrestling on all the shows, on all the everythings. Just because we like to touch a little bit in the current stuff, right? We'll get into the Monday Night Wars, as is our thesis statement here. I think one other thing that was kind of dramatic from this week that a lot of people like to talk about on the internet was the shift in executives at TNT, including TNT executive who was responsible for greenlighting AEW Dynamite getting removed, and people online trying to really read into this. Now, because we also have a wealth of experience working in television. We worked at the WWE Tape Library, but we also have been professionals in the television industry, and Jeremy in the content industry for many years now. It is very, 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 very common for networks to shift up their executives every couple of years because they try and keep things fresh or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's not just that TNT would do that, USA would do that, A&E would do that, Discovery would do that, History Channel would do that, everywhere does that. So I don't think that it's as much of a hullabaloo as a lot of people were trying to make out online.
Yeah, I generally agree with that. It's just as people that don't know anything about the TV business putting their ideas onto it.
Mm-hmm.
Could it potentially be bad? Sure. Could it potentially be better? Sure. There's no real answer. There's no reason to worry because AEW makes money and who cares?
Yeah, it's also and it's not a strange move. It's not something out there that's crazy.
It also really has nothing to do with AEW.
Yeah, right. I don't. Yeah, and what kind of executives would they bring in who would be like, hey, some of your, actually, I think probably their top-rated stuff that isn't NBA that they're gonna have.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, that's off of our network now because of personal reasons against it or something.
Which, listen, happens also, but I don't know. At this point, AEW's proven their value. If anything, getting kicked off TNT probably allows them to have a make more money somewhere else.
Yeah, they
I
would
worry
be
about
totally bid for if that 3-year deal was taken back or something like that. Because, I mean, and a big thing that people are not realizing is sort of live television has become the cornerstone of cable nowadays. Because what's the one major advantage that cable still has over streaming services? Live programming. That's it. Pretty much.
Kind of, but yes.
I mean, if you were looking in a broad picture about like what's still in the world of cable that you can't get on Netflix, you can only get on Hulu if you paid up for it. You can't get it on Amazon Prime, really. It's that the live stuff is there all the time. So that's for that and other reasons. Matt Hardy pouring 10 gallons of blood out of his head. I'm not that worried about what they're putting in.
They end up on WWE Network, where they can go live every Wednesday.
Yeah, as Triple H once said, they'll buy that little quote pissant company.
They don't have to buy them. You just work out a content deal.
No, that was his quote.
I remember his quote. I'm just
that little pissant company.
I'm just saying, they want a big streaming platform, and throw some money at them. All it takes is one Saudi show, and they can afford a couple years worth of AEW.
That's true. That's true. It just takes a little bit of blood money, and then you're good.
I think it's worth it.
But you know what was a simpler time with less blood money and less smarkiness in general is, I would say, November 18th, 1996.
Let's do it, Adam. This is episode 185 of Raw, and we are at the New Haven Coliseum in New Haven, Connecticut. And we are live. Guess what? I was just in New Haven this week.
Wow.
Total coincidence.
What were you doing in New Haven?
They have something called, it's New Haven style pizza.
Okay.
Which they especially, it's thin crust. They also make it in a clam variety. So I went up there to do a little clam pizza taste test at the 3 OG places that serve it. There's a million of them that serve it now. And if you are listening to us watch this, I have no idea what I'm talking about, which I know some of you guys do because I got a message the other day to Brunch Boys being like, I listened to Monday Night Pod and never knew that was you. I happen to have a food Instagram account called Brunch Boys, which is my main job, and far more people see that than this. So it's funny when it happens the other way around, where we have listeners and viewers that don't know the other way.
It's nice. The podheads are a diverse group with lots of different interests. It's not all just wrestling. Sometimes it's clam pizza.
There it is. So if you are interested in that, when this goes up, I will not have anything. Actually, that night, if you listen to this Monday morning or whatever, Monday night, I'll have something up for you. So you can check it out there. Look at that. What a plug on YouTube and Instagram.
What a plug. Hometown crowd popped real hard for that one.
Anyway, we're live, and here's Stone Cold, because goddamn right, here's Stone Cold.
Oh, yeah.
We see clips of Survivor Series and Yoko injuring Vader. Big stuff going on in Survivor Series. We have a new WWF Champion.
Yeah, in Sycho Sid. Going to learn more about that tonight.
Mm-hmm. Lots more. Anyway, our first match is Stone Cold versus Mankind. Hell yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh hell yeah. With Paul Bearer, this match goes 7 minutes and 15 seconds. We'll just run through this here. Gigantic brawling to start. A million referees and officials come out to try and break them up. They just start beating each other up. They finally get to the ring. Obviously, heel versus heel, which is something we are not accustomed to seeing generally. Anyway, match starts. They keep brawling and fighting. Executioner runs in for the DQ, as I said, at 7 minutes and 15 seconds. After Taker runs out to even the odds, but Austin clotheslines Taker right out of the ring. Anyway, Taker gets right back up, and Austin goes running.
Now, going through all that stuff really quickly, those are the beats, but there's a lot of important stuff in this match to take note of. I think this is our first proper glass shatters to open the show, or glass shatters at all.
It was glass.
Or wait, no. Or not to open the show rather.
You mean literally glass shatters,
like
or the song glass shatters?
Literally the sound effect of the glass shatters.
We heard the sound effect
to open the show. Yes, it was the proper. You know.
Oh.
Proper Stone Cold. Yep, that was the proper open of the show. I also noted that Mick had his bumping boots on because this was a pretty good match, actually. Really intense from start to finish.
It would set the trend for how these matches would go.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the best match ever, and the ending sucked.
Right.
But there wasn't a lot of wrestling here. It was a lot of brawling.
Right. But like there was a lot of bumping. Like this was was intense. The intensity was up the entire time. The time that the intensity was not up is, as you had alluded to a couple weeks back, Terry Gordy, the Executioner, being involved with this kind of a means of just like giving him something to do while he was struggling with his addictions and stuff like that. You can see when he goes in the ring during and there's the DQ going after we've just seen 7.5 minutes of Mankind and Stone Cold beating the holy shit out of each other. Executioner's punches are not up to their work rate at all. His entire movement is very half-assed and very kind of out of it. Yeah. It's kind of sad to see these two. You know, Mick and Stone Cold are world class at their positions in wrestling at this time, and Terry Gordy is just not. He does not belong as a dance partner with these fellas at all, which is kind of sad. And then one other thing. Taker, in the end, coming out, even the odds against Stone Cold. Was this the first time on Raw that we've seen Taker in like a proper Attitude Era style attire?
Yes, because he debuted his like leather outfit, whatever you want to call it, last night at Survivor Series.
Yeah, so like this is the first time we're not seeing him in kind of the early 90s. Stuff. Yeah, like soft, felty kind of.
He was... quarter biker Taker.
Yeah, right, yeah. Or like on his way to ministry Taker.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think the other interesting thing to me was just like, as I said, heel versus heel, but Austin seemed to be playing the face throughout the match a little bit more. The face we would see him be at least, which is never, pure baby face. And it's sort of like back to reality once Taker came out and sort of like looked at him and Austin and Ruddy, and you're like, oh no, he's still definitely a heel.
Yeah, he's still hitting a low blow behind the ref's back during the match and stuff like that. Like doing whatever he can to even the odds against this onslaught from Mankind. Yeah. Hot way to open the show. Hot crowd.
Yep.
Got big expectations for tonight.
Next up, Ahmed Johnson walks down through the crowd. Spotlight takes forever to find him. So it's like, oh my God. And it's like, I don't see him. Vince, what the fuck are you talking about? The lights are going crazy trying to find him. And finally find him, and like he's just like sitting up in the crowd. And we'll find out more about that in a bit. But first, Sonny comes out and introduces Farouk as the leader of the Nation of Domination. Here we go, first time. They just announced it as if like it happened. I don't know where this would have happened. Like, where did this come from? They were just like, well, yeah, the Nation of Domination. Of course, like, wait, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But anyway.
When was this established?
Right.
I guess it's established
comes
now.
out with PG-13 rapping. Again, this is the first iteration of Nation of Domination. PG-13 rapping. Clarence Mason is in tow. Because it's Farouk versus Savio Vega. Sonny gets on commentary, and this match goes 8 minutes. We get a lot of like a split screen of Ahmed sitting up in the stands watching. I sort of enjoy this in that nowadays, if this were to happen, they would be like sitting in the front row watching, where like when they buy a ticket, where no, this is much more legitimate. Like he's in the fucking rafters. He got the only ticket that was available. It was this shitty ticket up top because of course it's sold out for weeks.
Yeah, I like when they have that like bought ticket thing. Or anybody who's been to a live show will know the thing that they do, like when we went to NXT TakeOver and stuff like that, and they show the person at ringside, Kevin Owens is at ringside or whatever. They're only at ringside for that one match that they come out.
They're there
for
15 seconds.
Right. Well, yeah. Some like
and
Kevin
it's an
Owens
extra
stayed.
Seat they put there just for that shot.
Right. But I remember Kevin Owens stayed for the match when we were there, just because he's KO. He probably actually like wants to watch that match. But like when Scott, what was it? It was like X-Pac or somebody came out to ringside, or Scott Hall, or like a more like old schooly person came out, got the pop, and then they were gone after that.
I'm good, Paul? Yeah? Okay, cool. Anyway, notes from this. Savio goes for a suplex, Ahmed from the top rope, but they just tumble.
Oh my God.
Fall to the mat.
I thought they were both going to die.
Yeah, it's a really brutal botch. Anyway, Savio goes to hit, gets into it with PG-13, and with the ref distracted, they whack him with the 2x4, and Farouk rolls him into the ring and gets pinned. Yeah.
That's not the strongest debut move, I guess, for Farouk being the new leader of the Nation of Domination, who's also new. Mm-hmm. Lots of new things put out here, and they got Sonny at ringside too, like commenting on all of it. It's a little bit of a cluster, a little bit of a weird way to introduce.
Yeah, it's also just like not great of a match. Anyway, guess what? Ahmed runs down, grabs the 2x4, and chases off Nation Domination. They yell at each other and they go, "You're going down! You're going down!" The crowd is into it. As sort of silly as this is, the crowd chants along with Ahmed, so he's over.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good that's a good chant to get going too, because it's got the right syllables. You're going down. You're going down.
It is very just like kiddie though. It's like,
oh yeah,
you're going down. Okay.
Yeah, right.
What are you talking about?
I know. Can you imagine like Full Sail chanting that?
Right. It's like it's very cartoony still, as much as we're sort of getting out of that. It feels that way.
Ugh, I miss crowds. I miss crowds so much, but we'll get there eventually. Just like we'll get to the Karate Fighters Holiday Tournament.
That's right, Adam. This week it is Bob Backlund versus Sonny. Sonny wins.
I wanted to see more of a Bob Backlund freak out than we got.
Yeah, he probably did like a little rant, and they're like, "Ooh, even for 1996, this is too misogynistic. We can't have this. Let's not use that." Anyway, next up, Sid is backstage lifting weights as JR is talking to him, just like we don't hear it. They're just like, teasing for what's to come. Vince talks about the match with Shawn last night. Jose Lothario had like a heart attack or something. I don't know. And it ends up distracting Shawn too much. Vince says Jose refused medical attention. And I'm like, Vince, he just had a heart attack. Like, you're like, he had a heart attack. And he's like, what? Jose refused medical attention. It's like, no, you don't get to make the choice of refusing medical attention when you have a fucking heart attack. Yeah. You're like, Jose, go to the goddamn doctor. And they're like, they made it seem like he manned up and just got over a heart attack.
Yeah, he manned up and he got on a plane and went back home to San Antonio. Where like, that's what you want to do. You want to go flying after you've had a heart attack that hasn't been addressed by a doctor in any way, shape, or form.
Anyway, Vince then jerks off all over Shawn Michaels' accomplishments as champion.
Oh my God. Like, Vince is so in love with Shawn. It's like, it's crazy. It's just a shot of Vince at the announcer's booth talking on the announcer's headset. So, this is dead air to the arena, obviously, while all this is going on. It's not like anyone's coming out or anything else is getting filled. And Vince is spending 90 seconds talking directly to the camera about how Shawn has a reputation as a ladies' man, but his character, being more interested in the health and safety of Jose Lothario last night, showed that he is, too, a man's man and a man of character.
Vince wishes he was a man's man.
Yeah, Vince is a man's man right now. I know, that's for sure.
It's such
nothing wrong with that.
It's almost like Vince was forced into having the title change, and he's like, "Well, I'm going to put over Shawn." I don't give a shit who the champion is. We got to keep him strong, pal.
I wonder if that is something. If they were like, if somebody wanted Sid to be champion, I don't know what was going on there, but this was very bizarre. This is, if you want to see someone who's totally in love with another human being, like just pure, unadulterated love that is not being reciprocated. I mean, Vince, man, I don't know how to say. I don't think Shawn's going to end up with you in the end of all this, but whatever. Not for us to judge.
Well, we have a tag team match next, Adam. Another team that debuted last night in Survivor Series. Not this one. Leaf Cassidy and Bob Sparkplug, once again, Holly. Forgot the Sparkplug last week. Back to being Sparkplug this week, I guess.
Still in the Sparkplug outfit. Still with the Sparkplug hair.
Versus Doug Furness and Philip LaFon. This match goes 6 minutes. I'll get to this. Well, all right. Let me just talk about this. I won't get to it. So basically, fucking Lou Albano is randomly walking out with both teams. Not acknowledged with them, just walks out with both of them. Gets onto the Spanish commentary and pretends to try and speak Spanish on commentary. What's funny about this is, I know we talk about other wrestling podcasts a lot on this chat, and you're like, why are you just telling us about other podcasts? But this is actually very funny. So Bruce has spoken about not only this exact segment, but segments like this was before. And what he said would happen was Captain Lou would fucking show up to the arena and he'd be like, oh, I can't do a Captain Lou. But he was basically like, oh, where's my spot? What am I doing tonight? And just to fuck with Vince, Bruce would just like make up something for Lou to do because he knew it would drive Vince insane. So and remember, Vince on commentary is not like, he's not backstage.
He's not a gorilla.
He's not gorilla. So he would just be like, so right before the match, he'd be like, hey, Lou, we need you on Spanish commentary tonight. And he'd be like, hell yeah. And you're like, when should I go? Nah, just go out there now. So they purposely had him come out with the wrestlers, again, not during commercial break, so Vince couldn't stop this while it was happening. And then had the whole thing, and again, remember, this is a live Raw. Had the whole thing play out live, just to fuck with Vince.
See, there's nothing wrong about like recounting any other podcast stuff here. You know what we need to do is we need to get somebody's book and we need to read a chapter from it so that we could be the voiceover at the end of an episode of Botchamania. Yeah.
But they're asked to do that.
Oh, okay.
That's not like part of it. They are giving that responsibility by Botchamania.
Look, I'm such a mark. They kayfabed me the whole way. Mm-hmm. Well, Botchamania. We're here. We can read 2 books because there's 2 of us.
We know how to read. Anyway,
Furnace and LaFon.
Yeah, who cares? Backstage, Bulldog, Owen, and Clarence Mason are being interviewed to talk about them losing to Phillip and Doug last night in the Survivor Series match. Anyway, a Cobra Clutch suplex on Leaf Cassidy finally ends it after 6 minutes, as I said earlier.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're getting these guys over. I mean, that's fine, but like they just seemed like jobbers. Like
they're just so vanilla. Like I don't know who is who.
Yeah, no chance. I mean, even though one of them is French and the other one's American, I think.
I don't know.
Like, usually they beat you over the head with that kind of thing, but there's just not, there's not a lot there.
I think technically they're good.
Yeah, sure. Technically they're good, but they're very much lacking in it factors.
I couldn't agree any more with that. Anyway. Yeah, moving on. The new WWF Champion Sid comes to the ring. We get multiple commercial breaks before we even get to the segment. Sure. I mean, that's only for 2 seconds. Anyway, JR is now in the ring. He's interviewing Sycho Sid. Sid screams that HBK can get a rematch, but on December 15th, he faces Bret Hart for the championship. That's the next in your house. He says that he was never going to wrestle again, but these people called him back, so he would be fighting champion. He says Bret's comeback will end with him. And just sort of my overall note was just sort of like it was a very tweener program where you had hints obviously going against Bret. Bret is a white meat babyface. Said will be the heel here, but sort of going back for saying he came back for the fans. We're very. I think are we close or is this a year later when Vince does his Shades of Grey thing?
Oh.
Is that 97 or is that the end of 96?
I don't know. I feel like
is it after Montreal or before Montreal? Because it would be after if it's 97.
Maybe I don't know.
Gosh, frankly, we don't think your intelligence should be. Great. Maybe Vince, you should go back and watch that now before you. I guess Raw is taped, so you can't. I mean, you can sort of fix it, but maybe before we get the next Raw Underground, go back and watch your own promo from 25 years ago.
We'll take it. I'll take it anytime, just any week.
Frankly, your intelligence has been insulted. We here at the WWF don't think that's acceptable.
I still am not over the fact that our babyface champion, who I'm coming around to a little bit more, Drew. I mean, I really like Drew as a person.
I thought you meant Sid.
No. Drew. So just thinking about like current things. I like Drew. I love what Drew did with his career, like leaving, rebuilding himself.
Brutalized.
That's right. I like how, in his personal life stuff, he always seems like a really cool guy. And I'm kind of getting over the Roman Reigns-y booking of him as champion. One thing that I still have not gotten over is when he straight up murdered Eric Rowan's pet in front of him for no reason other than that Eric Rowan's pet was a spider.
Well, the thing with that was that he was babyfacing the gimmick that everybody hated. That was the idea of like, okay, this gimmick is stupid. Let's have our babyface destroy the gimmick that everybody hates.
Yeah, but like, you took somebody's pet from them. Doesn't matter if you don't like what their pet is. It's their pet. And it was in its cage, not hurting anybody.
It hurt people.
Not right then.
Maybe not in that moment, but it hurt people previously.
It did spit at some people and
bit
a couple of people. Yeah.
He
took this person's pet and he stomped it to death in front of him.
It was an alien. Ooh, maybe that's the thing that was in the dumpster that went after the Street Profits. And the Viking
and the Viking Warriors, Raiders.
What are they called?
Eric and Ivan.
Yeah,
or
maybe
Eric and
maybe
Ivar.
it's like maybe he didn't kill it and it grew and now it lives in a dumpster behind Full Sail or whatever, behind the Performance Center.
If I put $200 on this table right now and asked you which one's Eric and which one's Ivar.
I will say I have this issue with every tag team. So to be fair, you could say that about almost every tag team, and I will screw it up.
All right, fine.
But I will say Eric and Ivar. I would say Ivar is fully bald and Eric is not.
I could go with that.
Okay,
I could go with that.
A vague enough answer where I'm probably true, whether I am or not.
Nah. One more thing about this promo with Sid, by the way, which we're getting end of the show. Sid looks, I mean, we've talked about it, he looks like $1 million. It's like one of the most impressive physiques in the history of wrestling. Also carrying one of the best WWF Championship belts, if not the best, in the Winged Eagle.
Disagree.
He looks so good. Yeah,
now
I know.
Imagine if that belt was twice its size. Then we're talking.
You're an undisputed title guy.
Yeah. That's the one.
See, that's knowing this guy for 10 years. That's how I know what his favorite belt is.
I like the new U.S. title too. The old U.S. title was an abomination.
Oh yeah.
And this one is very
cool. New one's cool. Could be a little better, but it's cool.
I believe the new TNT Championship debuts this week, Adam.
Ooh,
I think Cody said the 12th, and that's this week or whatever this Wednesday is.
Big match against Scorpio Sky.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So, which I'm stoked for. I'm a big Scorpio Sky mark. Man, we're talking about so much current stuff, but I wanted to say just more about Sid really quick. He's doing his classic thing that Sid was known for, where he gets like way too into his yelling in the promo and then starts fucking up his words. And I love he's trying to say Hitman and Brett at the same time, and he calls him Britman, and then he goes or Hitman, whatever. It's good.
What happens when you're intense?
Sid is intense. Sid is a fascinating character to have as your champion, and that brings us to the end of Raw. So
that's it.
What do you think about November 18th, 1996?
I think that it was all pretty exciting. I just think that they sort of, rather than going so huge with these live shows, they tend to treat the live episodes after the pay-per-views as just sort of like transitional episodes. It's like, here's the setup for the next 3 weeks of tapings that we're going to give you a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
There's nothing bad. There's just nothing. Again, this is gonna be a fucking broken record. But it's like, the matches were sort of nothing. But the stories are all pretty good. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen, and things moved along, and it's a good pacing, and
Yeah, I'll agree with pacing. Like, even as much as we could like shit on Cassidy and Holly versus Furnace and LaFon, like at least there's some nice technical wrestling going on there. It's not like super compelling or anything like that, but just because you don't care about these characters and even their look is bland. Yeah. But like that's kind of the lowest point of the show for me. Yep. It was a pretty good, like pretty decent Raw overall. Not great, but pretty darn decent. So now the ball is in Nitro's court. We'll have to see what Nitro has to say.
Yes, Adam, let's do it. This is episode 62 of Nitro. We are live from the Florence Civic Center in Florence, South Carolina. Another cold open. Cold open Raw, cold open on Nitro also.
Gotta grab them fast. Gotta keep the energy up immediately from the top of the show. Hey, we can't change the channel. There's no time.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Anyway, it actually is chaos. We open the show, and Outsiders are holding steel chairs with the Nasty Boys and High Voltage totally laid out in the ring. They get on the mic and they scream at Tony and Larry for laughing at them last week. Hall calls out the Faces of Fear. Hall and Nash walk backstage and are jumped by the Faces of Fear, and they continue to brawl. Anyway, then we see footage of them running out from right before the show started. Endo run out, but they freeze frame right before they actually do the attack. They say that they refuse to actually air the footage of what the Outsiders did because it's,
heinous. It's terrible.
Awful stuff. Anyway, Tony yells at Larry for not helping him out when they were yelling at him a minute earlier. Tony's pissed and takes off his headset and walks off. He will not be part of the show if he's going to be treated this way.
Well, I mean, he's rightfully pissed. As he mentions, he's got 5 kids to look out for. He's got the living legend Larry Zbyszko right next to him, and the living legend Larry Zbyszko did nothing while these 2 7-foot monsters were just bullying the hell out of Tony Schiavone. So I get it. He should be pretty pissed.
Yes. Anyway, but that leads to our first match. Is La Parca versus Juventud Guerrera. This match goes on almost 30 seconds. Adam, is this because I know there are a few of them, is this the La Parca that we saw in MLW?
I believe it is. I believe this is the debut of the chairman of the board. Of course, he's not the chairman quite yet in this, but yeah, I believe it's the same La Parca.
Okay. Mike Tenay runs out to join commentary. He will be doing it with Larry. Lots of lucha libre things, jumping all over the place, flying over the ring. Juvi looks way better. We've seen him look awful, but he seems to improve every week, especially when he's in there with people that he's more comfortable with. And I imagine he's had a lot of matchups with the Parca.
I think the term is good lucha stuff.
Good lucha stuff.
Is what the official term is. Is Kalisto still in WWE? Or was he swept up in that?
Lucha House Party still exists, but there have only been 2 members. I don't remember if it is because of injury or not.
Okay.
And I cannot tell you who those 2 members are.
I am.
Even though they were on SmackDown this past week.
According to Wikipedia, he is currently signed to the SmackDown brand. Yeah. So, yeah.
Grand Metalik, I believe him and Grand Metalik are the 2 or Lucha House Party right now.
I mean, those 2 would be huge free agents if they became available. I totally understand. I think so. I think Grand Metalik is one of the best luchadors in the world.
Not to take anything away from them.
He's not the best. Ray Phoenix is the best luchador on earth right now.
I think that they're great. I just, I think it's enough of mid-carders from WWE being huge signings.
I know, but I mean, man, can you imagine Grand Metalik versus Ray Phoenix
on Dark?
Or could you imagine? No, come on. Or oh man. Or Kalisto versus Pentagon Jr. I mean, that'd be good shit. I'm just saying. They should try and sign Rusev first. Oh yeah.
Anyway,
of course. Miro all the way.
Lots of lucha libre stuff. I said. La Parca counters Juvi, shows him off the top rope, and hits a jumping top rope corkscrew senton for the win.
That's right. Yeah, just better take notes on a finish like that.
Thank God the professor's there.
Well, dude. There's a great springboard Hurricane Rana at one point in this match because Mike Tenay, thankfully, is able to point out that it's a Hurricane Rana, not a Frankensteiner, even though we still haven't gotten to the bottom of that. So, Mike Tenay, if you want to hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on Instagram, hit us up on Facebook, wherever you want, you can please help distinguish those 2 because I am still looking for somebody to help me identify which is which in
and
the
all
long
those
run.
Things are Monday Night Pod. You could email us to info@mondaynightpod.com. That goes to you, Professor Mike Tenay, and anybody else, I guess, if you have any thoughts or feelings.
Hey man, if Tony Schiavone wanted to DM us, I'm all about that. But this match was lit. This was a good, fast,
wild.
Yeah. As we said, good lucha things. This is a great match. They're Nitro so far firing on all cylinders, hitting off the show.
Yep.
And we're only in hour number 1.
We're only in match number 1. Next up, we get a video package of Ultimo Dragon. B-roll of him winning all the belts. He's the Jacob champion, or whatever you want to call him, with all the light heavyweight cruiserweight championships. That brings us to our cruiserweight championship match. It's Ultimo Dragon with Sonny Ono versus our WCW cruiserweight champion, Dean Malenko. Ultimo Dragon is trying to unify all the belts in this match. It goes 4 minutes. We hear from Ray. He pre-recorded a message beforehand. He wants another shot at Dean's championship belt. Pretty fast match here. Quick match. Both, I should say. Dean locks in Texas Cloverleaf, but then he sees Sonny Ono on the ropes and lets go to go after him. Ultimo then runs at Dean and he tosses him over the top rope and is DQ'd because apparently that's still a rule.
Yep, top rope DQ.
I feel like we've seen it happen 10,000 times without a DQ though on Nitro.
Yeah, I think like when we see it, it's like with the ref's back turned or something like that usually, and it's not like someone getting clotheslined over the top rope. It's but like this was a very like clear like dodged him, threw him over. I thought Dragon was gonna get super hurt because his leg got caught on the rope too. Like, God, I love Ultimo Dragon, but man, sometimes there's just some little spots where like he fucks up and it gets scary. Or even when it's not scary, like when he tripped on his entrance at WrestleMania, which
his debut
feels so bad because like it was his dream to wrestle at WrestleMania. And
was it?
That's what he'd said for many years, and then he tripped on his entrance on the way out.
Well, it was fine. I just hated the ending. I think it's a stupid finish.
Yeah, also like a little short for what I wanted to see out of these two. But the Cruiserweight Championship story continues.
Yes. Next up, we see the footage from last week of the chaos between Harlem Heat and Amazing French Canadians. Next matchup is Amazing French Canadians with Colonel Robert Parker versus American Males. This match goes 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Colonel Robert Parker is no longer dressed like a Southern gentleman. He's dressed like a
businessman.
No, it was. I want to say a British soldier representing what Canada soldiers would look like. It was something Canadian, but it didn't. Like, if he's dressed like the Mountie, I'd be like, oh, okay. He's not dressed like the Mountie. He's dressed like a soldier-esque thing.
Yeah, I get. I mean, he's a colonel.
He's a colonel. Anyway, I said he should have gone full Mountie. More miscommunication issues between the American Males. Riggs knees Rougeau in the back, but the momentum means he headbutts Bagwell and Carolette. Lays Rougeau on top. Oh, Jesus Christ! Lays Rougeau on top of him to pin him for the win. So many French words there.
Yeah,
but yes, Amazing French Canadians win because the American Males were not able to stay on the same page. Says something. That said something about Americans.
That the American Males are not able to stay on the same page.
Yep, and the Amazing French Canadians are. What does that tell you?
Well, yeah. That's. I mean, this isn't a political podcast, but it almost sounds like it in those few sentences. I like this story between the American Males that's still going. Mm-hmm. I think it's right. It's a good way to start establishing Bagwell as a singles competitor because he's obviously the standout between him and Riggs. Not that Riggs is bad, but like he's definitely got more markers of like a star, I think. Mm-hmm. At least like a higher up on the card star. And so yeah, I'm fine with this. It's just there's a thing in WCW where though that they like to occasionally do, which is a distract finish like that or a miscommunication finish where like the thing that happens between the two teammates does not really look devastating but still results in a pinfall. You know what
right,
I mean?
Yeah, like he headbutts him.
Yeah, he like pushed him into the other guy and then they bumped heads and they went down. Like it wasn't like he ducked and got super kicked or something like that. It's they've done that a couple of times with WCW.
Yeah.
It's not killing it for me, but it's just a thing.
Yeah.
There.
Anyway, next up, Lex Luger versus Hugh Morris. This match goes 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Huge pop for Lex Luger. Not shocking. He's been getting huge pops. We get another pre-recorded message from Arn, sort of the same exact thing we got last week, saying, I'm coming to get you in Baltimore. Morris misses a slash at the top rope, and Lex locks it in, baby.
Yep.
Torture rack, and that's it.
Yep, we're still showing that he can rack anybody he wants. Doesn't matter how big they are. When they're a big old fat Hugh Morris, he can just throw them up there like that. Just like he was with opponents in the past couple of weeks who were all ginormous.
Yep.
And yeah, as you mentioned, Luger just white hot babyface. I still don't think that Luger is verified on Twitter, which is a bummer.
Maybe it's not him.
You'll never know until you have that blue check mark.
There you go. Mean Gene is in the ring with Lex Luger. Sting comes out from the stands as Lex is talking. They go face to face, but Sting says nothing. He takes his baseball bat, he puts it into him, pushes him away, but then hands the bat and walks away. So what is Sting up to?
Oh my gosh. There's so much intrigue and mystique around the Crow right now. Did I say the Crow? I meant Sting. Oh, whoops. Because he's the Crow. He's just copying the Crow. That just always annoyed me so much, even though it's cool.
Still means nothing to me.
Yeah. You never seen the Crow?
No.
Dude.
I understand what it is, but it means nothing to me.
Yeah, sure.
Do you think, I don't know, to me...
You weren't an emo kid?
No. To me, Sting eclipses that movie.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Sting in a mainstream appeal
yeah.
would probably... Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot more people who know Sting rather than the Crow. But,
exactly.
All right. I'll
if anything, we only continue to talk about that movie because of Sting. So, you know what? Fans of that movie should be happy that Sting dressed like him.
I mean, we also talk about it because it killed Brendan Lee.
Yes,
and,
that's true.
You know,
Wait, I thought that was the second one. I thought that was Crow 2.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. It also, as aforementioned, us working in television, it's something that's quite often referenced when talking about safety protocols on sets. Especially, I've worked on a lot of murder shows, you know, like the Discovery ID stuff.
But you weren't actually murdering people.
No. But in the recreations that we would shoot, and we'd have like guns on set or whatever.
I did some of those, yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of those guns are just like filled with cement or something, just because like there can be
what's
nothing in
interesting
them
is,
whatsoever.
at least in New York City, even if there's a prop house that sells fake guns or rents fake guns. Even though you are renting fake guns, you still have to have a NYPD or former NYPD or someone registered on set, a gun expert, safety expert on set with you, even though they're non-operational and fake guns, just in case.
Yeah. Yeah, and because it's a low-budget TV set, everybody follows the rules very closely and strictly. They definitely don't just rent them in New Jersey sometimes and then have them sitting in the back of your cargo van when you're the PA driving it and going through the Holland Tunnel.
Mine was actually the opposite. We legitimately always had shit like I never picked those things up. That was all for real.
Yeah, no, yeah. On some sets, yeah, I had that experience. On others, less so.
Well, Adam, for a Nitro, let's do it. Let's go to hour 2. That was pretty fast. First hour, we see footage from Saturday night of Teddy Long and Chris Jericho confronting Nick Patrick and his lawyer. Teddy challenges him to a match with his hand behind. Challenges him for Jericho to take him on with Jericho's hands tied behind his back. It leads to the next matchup, which is Johnny Grunge versus Chris Jericho. A very funny WWE edit this week. They decide... I was trying to find what Jericho's theme would have been, because they've been using his first WCW theme a lot.
Yeah, it's very generic.
And I actually loved it, but for whatever reason decided maybe they switched themes and it was not appropriate anymore. So instead of finding something generic, instead of putting back in his first WCW theme, they just rolled in his Break the Walls Down music, which just...
This is one of my favorite theme songs ever, by the way.
Which just makes... no sense. It's like they did that to one of Taker's like WrestleMania things where like he was coming out as like Rollin', but like they just put in one of like the Ministry ones just for the fuck of it. And it's like
really?
it's like this makes no sense. Yeah, dummies. Yeah, because what happened is a lot of what you watch on WWE Network isn't the pay-per-view feed. It's not even a cleaned up pay-per-view feed. They assume that the easiest edited version, so they don't have to work on it, is the DVD or a home video release. And a lot of those had different music copyrights at the times, which had to pull all those songs out. So they actually could put it back in, but they're like, only dumb marks are watching this, so who cares?
Yeah, who's going back to November 18th, 1996 and watching this episode of
so when you
Nitro?
see a lot of weird edits, it's just because those edits were done for something else, and they're just like, who cares? It's less work for us to do.
It is funny, but it is tragic rather, that like there's a lot of like really iconic moments on the network that you can't get the way that they were. I mean, stuff with American Badass, obviously, and that one of the biggest ones that stands out for me is the Sandman's entrance at ECW One Night Stand, which is a legit religious moment if you watch the original version of that and what was going on, like the energy in the Hammerstein Ballroom that night in 2005, like actually still resonates when you watch it in its original form. And watching the edited version with like not Enter Sandman from Metallica playing is very bizarre.
Yeah, I agree. Here we go. It's a match.
Johnny Grunge versus Chris Jericho.
Right, of course. Anyway, Nick Patrick comes out scouting Chris Jericho for their match that's going to take place in World War III. Grunge brings out a table into the ring, and the ref just doesn't care, I guess. Like, literally sets a table in the middle of the ring. Jericho's laid out on the table. Grunge grabs a chair and jumps off the top rope, but Jericho gets out of the way and hits a missile dropkick from the top rope for the win.
Yeah. I mean, crowd's hot for Jericho. He's definitely a rising star. Funny to see Johnny Grunge in a singles match. I think it's the first time we've seen a Public Enemy member do that. But yeah, it's are there rules or aren't there? Like, why are we setting up a table in the middle of it? Why are we setting up a chair in the middle of the ring? Like, you know, like, ref, are we doing anything here? Do we
Maybe it's a conspiracy theory against Jericho because he's facing a referee at World War III.
Maybe.
This runs deeper than just Nick Patrick. Woo! Anyway, Mean Gene interviews Chris Jericho and Teddy Long comes out. Teddy apologizes for getting Jericho into this match, but Jericho says it's good because this is the only way he's going to be able to get Nick Patrick into the ring is to have his hands tied behind his back.
Yeah, he's doing very like good white meat young baby face. Like he plays to the crowd too and it all. Like Jericho's like he knows what he's doing. He's a pro. Yeah, he's a pro even at that age. I mean, what, you think he's like 25, 26 during this?
Something like that, yeah.
Next
up, because it's hour 2, Eric and Bobby are now announcers. Eric and Bobby talk about Piper possibly being here tonight. NWO comes out. It's Hogan, Ted, Vincent, Liz come out to announcer's desk as Heenan bails. He says that
he did bails in a funny way. He's like, nope, I'm out of here. And just like, boom.
Hogan says that he is a bigger superstar and icon than Piper. He wants Eric to say it. Eric begrudgingly says it. He makes him say it that he's 100 times richer than Piper. It's just all this thing is just like egging Eric on to say all these things about how Hogan is that much better than Piper.
That made me laugh the most is when he was insistent on Bischoff saying that he had more money than Piper. That made me laugh a lot.
It's true. Mean Gene's at the entrance at DDP says that DDP was nowhere to be found as the NWO did their thing. But here comes Nash, Hall, Six, and Giant. They ask if he has figured it out yet. All like very vague things on NWO. They warn DDP that something big and beautiful will happen tonight. DDP says that he stands alone.
Yeah, I mean, this is very fun because this is such a natural progression to a babyface DDP. He's exactly the same character as he was as a heel. Doesn't need to change it at all. That's the best transitions of heel to face that happen is when they're the exact same as they ever were. But it works, and this is absolutely working, and you can see the writing about DDP becoming a megastar on here. Gosh, I still love that DDP's latest match coming out of retirement was just free on Dynamite. He's in a 6-man tag.
Were you gonna pay for it?
Hey man, if they put on a pay-per-view DDP's retirement match? That could fit, I think. Like a legit like $10 page.
Hold on. You can't have a retirement match 20 years after you retired, Adam.
Well, I mean, did he ever have a retirement match before?
No, but he's
been out of the
retired.
Ring. Yeah, but he was in a 6-man tag.
You could have his comeback match or a special appearance, which is what it was.
Sure.
But I don't think you could sell DDP retirement match 20 years later.
you need to like let him have a couple of matches or whatever, and then have him get put down ultimately by MJF. You know?
Yeah.
Like that's a way to do it.
That's true.
You're welcome, Tony.
There you go. Next up, Bobby Eaton versus Jeff Jarrett. This match goes 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Heaton comes back to commentary along for Mike Tenay. Jeff is locking on the figure 4 as the crowd goes wild because Flair is here in a sling. Eaton taps. That's not the story here. Let's get to stuff that happens afterwards. Mean Gene hops into the ring with Rick and Jeff. They talk about Sting hitting Jeff Jarrett with DDT last week. Flair yells that we see Sting watching on. Flair says that JJ is a horseman. He doesn't care what the other horsemen think because Flair is a leader. Summarizing what he's saying here. And Jeff Jarrett is in the Horsemen. And then they strut together.
Well, this is Flair country, as they say. In South Carolina?
Close enough.
I would say South Carolina's Flair country.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I would always say North Carolina, but yeah, South Carolina counts.
Right. So obviously they're hot as hell for him, and yeah, the stuff with Jarrett's working enough right now that like they're it's all good with it, and he's still doing kind of a Giant Slayer thing with Big Bubba being Giant. He's gonna be facing the Giant, or in his program with the Giant rather. Yeah, I'm fine with this. When can you be mad at a Ric Flair strut and woo off?
Are you fine with Jeff Jarrett being a Horseman?
I'm a lot more fine with Jeff Jarrett being a Horseman than Steve Mongo McMichael.
Fair.
Being a Horseman.
Very fair,
like
Adam.
the barrier to entry into the Four Horsemen is relatively low if Mongo is in there, right? Like we should do a retrospective where we dive into the worst to the best of the Horsemen. I mean, obviously, Rick and Arn are going to be 1 and 2 on that list at the very top. Mm-hmm. And, like, Mongo is probably at the bottom.
I would say What's His Face is worse.
That's the thing. Where does everyone else fall when you fill out that list? Like
Paul Roma, worst.
Yeah, okay, I could see Paul Roma being worse. I mean, it's just especially having even a lower impact than a Steve Mongo McMichael would have.
Exactly.
But when you like really start breaking it down, like does Barry Windham go above or below Chris Benoit? Like where do all these pieces fall into place eventually? That'd be interesting. Maybe we'll take a dive in that in the future.
Maybe. Next up, it's Big Bubba with Jimmy Hart versus Jim Powers. This match goes 4 minutes.
Oh, did I say Big Bubba was Jeff Jarrett? I'm sorry. I was mixing up my notes earlier. Here, Bobby eating Big Bubba, whatever.
Gotcha. Anyway, Eric ignores the entire match, so I will do that too. Bubba Slam ends it.
Yeah. I mean, it was stiff, kind of. It's a stiff match. I mean, we've talked about it on the show. I'm a fan of Bubba's work. Big Boss Man, good worker. But yes, as you mentioned, totally ignoring the match, so who cares?
Yep. Next up, Chris Benoit with women versus Eddie Guerrero. This match goes 9 minutes and 30 seconds. We hear from Kevin Sullivan in a pre-recorded backstage segment. He talks about Benoit breaking his back, which I didn't realize, but anyway. Again, they're going to face off in Baltimore. Again, it's this thing where you're like, Benoit and Eddie, hell yeah, but it is endless submission and a really technical match, and just I don't know. Here's the finish, though. Eddie goes for a frog splash, but Chris moved out of the way. Eddie rolls through it, comes back and hits a Hurricanrana, but Benoit rolls through that and pins Eddie for the win. Yeah,
I actually kind of thought the match was better, I think, than you did. Because I thought it was fast. I thought it was good. It was not their best, yes, as you said. And yeah, we're ending with a roll-up again. But I'm never going to see Benoit and Guerrero in a match and, think, all right, this is going to be a snooze fest, or this is not going to be worth checking out. Because it was. It was pretty good, I thought.
I agree.
All right. Big main event, though, here.
Here we go. Eric Bischoff is in the ring to address the fans. He apologized for what Hogan made him do earlier. He will do everything he can to sign Piper. Just then, Piper's music hits, and here we go. It's Hot Rod. He's live on Nitro, folks. Piper says that somebody's calling him a coward. Eric is visibly uncomfortable with Piper in the ring. We will learn very quickly why. Piper says that he's here to talk about liars, and he's looking right at Eric Bischoff. He asks Eric all these weird leading questions. Eric for weeks has been talking about how he's been trying to sign Piper and how he's at the house and blah, blah, blah. And Piper is like, Eric, when you drive to my house, do you make a left or do you make a right?
Yeah, I love these little details that he keeps dropping in there.
And Eric is like,
did you turn up the road or go straight? Oh, yeah, right. What does the front of my house look like?
Anyway, he calls him a piece of shit as the NWO run in and attack him. Eric then hugs Hogan and hands him the mic. Eric is officially part of the NWO.
Woo!
Hogan gets to the mic and says, Piper's never been anything. Piper goes after Eric as the entire police department runs into the ring to keep things calm. The show ends with Piper yelling that he accepts Hogan's challenge. Because remember, Hogan challenged him last week to a match.
Oh boy. That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it's interesting watching it not like I knew what was going to happen.
All right,
It's interesting like trying to like... Because until he hugs Hogan, I don't think you understand. Because Piper was very vague in what he was trying to call Eric out on. As much as like Eric was overacting like a great wrestling way, and as much as he was trying to nail it home, I don't know if it was obvious until he hugged Hogan of like what just Piper was getting at.
Yeah, well, I also don't know if it was like, well, here we go with proving Vince right in some ways about how you have to beat everybody over the head with the obvious thing like they're an idiot, you know? Because if you're in the live crowd there, maybe it was like, huh? Is that did he just join the NWO? Like,
well,
he hugged Hogan. Yeah. I get it. Like, oh wait, they're friendly. Like, obviously it's gonna be a lot bigger next week when we get to do the the famous promo that was referenced during the Firefly Funhouse match. You know, the I love you too. Bischoff in black kind of thing. So yeah, but man, hot angle to end
One
the show.
of the more memorable, important, big moments of not only Nitro, not only NWO, but of the Monday Night Wars.
Certainly. This is what's going to keep you on top for 84 weeks?
83 weeks.
83 weeks.
83 weeks.
83 weeks. Whew. Exciting.
Mm-hmm. Good
Stuff. Jer Bear, what do we think about Nitro overall then?
Well, I think that, it was sort of the opposite for me of the past Nitros that we've been watching. I think most of the Nitros we've been watching have been like really good, and then the ending is so bad that I'm like left with such a sour taste in my mouth that I hate it.
Oh yeah,
it was
this was not just Hogan.
Yeah, it was sort of the opposite, where like the whole show was like pretty good, no complaints, like decent, feeling good, but then the ending just blew it out of the water. I'm like, great, I feel great watching this. Now I'm happy at the end of Nitro because this was a really cool moment. Not only did Piper surprisingly come, but we found out that Eric has been part of the NWO the whole time.
It's also, this episode mattered, right? Like, this episode shifted the dynamic of everything that's going on there. Like, oh man, the guy who's in charge of WCW is in the NWO. Holy shit, what does that mean? Whereas, like, on Raw, all right, got a couple of good matches. Nation of Domination is now a thing, even though there's really only one person in the nation. Because I'm not counting PG-13 as rappers who just take the, who are the J&J security of that gimmick right now. The what were their names? The Singh twins? No,
what?
No, the Singh brothers. The guys who made Jinder Mahal's.
Oh yeah.
Made his reign quite much more entertaining, man. Can you imagine his reign without those people? Yeah, this is a Nitro win for me.
It is.
Clearly.
Same. America agrees. Nitro gets a 3.2 and Raw gets a 2.4.
Hoo-wee! Man, those ratings from back in the day. If only that happened now. But it's a different landscape. It's a different world. And even with everything on demand, we're able to experience it like this, which I enjoy. Cool. I think Raw has a lot to prove next week, man. They got to pick up. Now, we can hope and pray that Raw's not going to be taped for another 3 weeks moving forward.
It is taped for another 3 weeks moving forward.
Ah!
Yeah, the next pay-per-view is December 15th at In Your House. So
Gotcha.
Yes, they 4 blocks still tapings of Raw.
Okay.
But I don't think that's been an issue of Raw.
Well, I like the live shows better. I think we can tell that they move better. I think we can tell that they react better. Mm-hmm. Just overall, they feel better.
Yeah.
All these things, when they're presented to us live, feel better.
That's true.
So, there's too much room to dilly-dally when they're not live.
True. Well, Adam, that was this week. I'm in a pod. We both agreed. Nitro won. So, to our amazing fans that are keeping track to us, check that one off for Nitro. We will talk to you in a few years to see how it went. But yeah, the best thing is that's what we thought, but we loved hearing what you thought, and there's some very easy ways for you guys to do that. You could tweet us at Monday Night Pod. You could you can Instagram us, whatever that is, at Monday Night Pod. If you're watching YouTube, you comment below and let us know who should have won the Monday Night Wars of this week. While you were there, hit subscribe, like the button, share the video. That's cool too. You could write on our Facebook wall, Monday Night Pod. You can email us at info@mondaynightpod.com. Wherever you're listening to this on podcast form, whether that's Apple, Amazon, Spotify, anything, Google, make sure you're following and subscribe to that. And if you're specifically listening to us on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a 5-star review. And once again, let us know how you are feeling or writing anything. You can tell us anything.
Yeah, what did you think about Talking Shopomania? Go ahead. Tell us all of it. It's perfect. We love talking about it. We love thinking about it. We love hearing about it. We love predicting the things that are going to be coming. Mm-hmm. But, the future's not yet written, Jer. And so, in 20 years when we do the Wednesday night pod, we could talk about those wars. Yep. It's all just exciting. All things to look forward to.
Bye.